Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Jen Has Lost Her Mind. Today I'm going to do a tutorial for these cute little frogs. I know you guys are real close. Now there are many varieties here. I've been working, so I made this little guy. Let me raise you up. I'll raise you up so you can see what I'm showing you. Alright, so I started with this guy. Alright, and he was cute, but he didn't have arms. And I also don't like his belly patch. Belly patch is completely optional. I will, of course, give you direction on how to do that, but I really just like the simplicity of these two froggies. So this is going to be the tutorial I show you, and there's two different feet. Now, I like the feet, these feet better than these feet, but again, I was playing and this is what happens when we design people. And this guy, his eyes are facing different directions, but some frogs look like that, so it's okay. This is all part of the design process. Now, I am going to show you these guys, but I'm going to show you it in worsted weight acrylic yarn. This is not my pattern. This is just a frog I made that I don't really like at all. But we're going to use this yarn. So you can see there's going to be a difference in size because this is a bulky weight, number 5. This is worsted weight. The reason I'm showing it to you in worsted weight is because it's a little bit easier to see the stitches than this stuff, and I want this to be a beginner-friendly tutorial to make this frog. So to get started, you just need green yarn of your choice. This is Dollar Tree chenille yarn. This is Posh yarn, which is no longer available, but if you have any, you're lucky. And this one is actually a long, old, discontinued yarn from Premier that I just happened upon at a thrift store situation. This is called Cuddle Fleece. It's actually cut strips of fleece, and it's a really cool yarn. Okay, so I am using Basic Stitch Anti-Pilling Acrylic from Lion Brand, but again, you could use whatever green yarn you have on hand. Now, depending on what yarn you're using is going to dependent on the size hook you use and how big your project turns out. Now, because I'm using worsted weight number 4, I'm going to use a 4mm crochet hook. If you are going to use the Posh style, which, let's see, the Posh, it says it's a number 5. I would go up to probably I'm so sorry about that. A 5mm crochet hook. Although I used a 4 for this and it worked, but your stitch is going to be real tight. And if you struggle because your tension is tight, go up to a 5. But I did use a 4 for this. Actually, I used a 4 for all of these. I used this hook for all of these. This is the Dollar Store chenille. This is the Posh from Joann's. If you're going to use Bernat blanket yarn, go up a hook size or 2. 5 or 6 would work. Just whatever feels good to you. And I didn't bring enough liquid in here to sustain my throat, so I may have to go get some tea. Alright. Oh, sorry. You know, we're just a hot mess today. We're just going to deal with it, okay? I'm going to lower you back down so you can actually see the stitches. So I have my 4mm hook, my worsted weight yarn. I have my pattern all written out. Well, it's notes. It's not an official pattern. I wrote notes. We're going to start with the eyeballs. Okay. We need to make 2 of them. Alright, because, you know, frogs generally have 2 eyes. Right? And to do that, you need to do a magic circle. And if you're freaked out about the idea of magic circle, a magic circle is a glorified slip knot. Okay? So to make a slip knot, I just make an X like that, like an awareness ribbon. I pinch it at the X. I go top to bottom, because that lower one is on the bottom, the smaller one's on the bottom. Pinch it. Go top to bottom, pull up a loop. Now, this is a slip knot, and if you just did that, it's a slip knot, okay? People's mind were blown when I did this trick last time. It's just a slip knot. So, however you make a slip knot, that's how I make one. Pull up a loop, but don't tighten it, because we're just going to continue. Chain 1. Now, instead of a slip knot, you have a super glue. Why is this camera so stinking loose? Hang on. I also need to put my glasses on. I'm sitting here struggling to see. I'm like, what is happening? Alright. Let's start over again, because I had to pause, and now people are going to be confused. Slip knot, pull up a loop, chain 1. For the eyes, we're going to put 6 single crochet in the loop. Crochet over the tail and the circle. So go in, pull up a loop, make, oh, that's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, ha ha ha, 4, 5, 6, and then grab that tail and pull the loop closed. See, it's that simple. Now, generally people would put a stitch marker right here. Okay, I don't use stitch markers, I just count. We're going to put 2 single crochet in each stitch. So pull up a loop. We're just putting in that very first stitch. Put a single crochet in that same stitch. Put another one in the same stitch. Now, to keep track, instead of, oh, that's the first stitch, I'm going to put a stitch marker, which you could do. I just counted 12. So I put 2 in each stitch until I reached 12. So that was 2. In the next single crochet, I put 2 more single crochets. That's 3 and 4. In the next stitch, put 2 more single crochets. That's 5 and 6. And I'm crocheting over that tail. And then 2 in the next, 7 and 8. And the next stitch is 9 and 10. And then the last stitch is 11 and 12, and you have 12 single crochets. All right. Next, wow, stop vibrating. Next row, we're just going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch. So again, we're going to count to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, make sure, because it's starting to curl towards us, make sure you flip it so that that curls down, because this is the right side of the fabric, that's the wrong side of the fabric. Okay, now see, that's a perfectly acceptable eyeball. If you want the eyes to be a little taller and bug-eyed, like this one sticks out, do another row exactly like that. His eyes are going to be a little more like this, so it's not sticking up as much. See? Whereas this guy had a couple extra rows so his eyes stand up a lot higher off his head. This is entirely your option. Actually, I think I'm going to do 1 more row, because this is a different yarn than the green yarn. So I think I'm going to do 1 more row of 12. So 1 single crochet in the next 12 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that's all she wrote, folks. That's the eyeball. Now you obviously need to make a second one. So form it over your finger. See how it fits to my finger? That's an eyeball. Now, we forgot to grab scissors. Cut about an 8-inch tail. Right? Go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, slip stitch, and then pull through. Just close it off. That's eyeball number 1. Okay? Now, your options for eyes are these really cool eyes that I got on Amazon. They're frog eyes, snake eyes, dragon eyes, okay? They're super cool. But these creep you out. You could, oh, dang, I keep hitting the camera. You could use whatever eyes you want, okay? These are amigurumi style kawaii eyes. You could also just embroider slits on here, like just put black thread, make a slit. You could crochet a small black circle or a white circle and attach it, whatever you want the eyes to look like. Now me personally, I like the snake eyes, so we're going to stick with the snake eyes. So I'm going to grab some and show you what to, now remember you got to make 2 of these. So you make another one of these, and then I'll come back and I will get my snake eyes out. Alright. So I picked these snake eyes because I think they're super cool. These all might be a little too big, but like frogs tend to have bug eyes anyway. So you want to find a spot somewhere between the top and the bottom. So we have, this is the first row. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 rows. So we're going to go down 1, 2 rows. In between here, we're going to pop our eye. If I can get it in. I might have to grab smaller eyes. Oh no, it's fitting. It's fitting. Alright. Squeeze it in there real tight. It's real tight. This is also kind of giving me alligator eyes. Totally alligator vibes, right? You clip your eye in, make sure it's a good size, you like the way it looks. Get it where you want it, clip it on. If you have one of these cool tools also available on Amazon, use it because it saves on the hands. And clips it extra tight in there. Alright, now. Because this is such a big eye, it's making that eye look real flat, but that's okay. Alright. And then we're going to make a second one, and we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to clip the eyes, make sure that they are identical, and set them aside. Because we don't need it right now. Alright. Now we have our 2 eyes, we're going to make our head next. Alright, now we are on to the head. Well, the head, the body, the head, this part right here. Okay. We're going to clean our fingernails because I didn't realize they were dirty. I planted some basil and I absolutely have actual dirt under my fingernails. I didn't know. Alright, no, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Start once again with a magic circle. Okay, same way I showed you at the beginning. Chain 1, 6 single crochet in the magic circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull tight. Now I'm going to give you a warning. If you're working with chenille yarn, that pull tight is going to be real hard to do. So if you're working with chenille yarn, make that slip stitch real small, or work out of just a chain stitch. Okay. And then once again, just like we did with the eyeballs, we're going to put 12 single crochet. So we're going to put 2 in each. And to do that, I just count 1, 2. And I'm crocheting over that tail again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that is what that looks like. Is every stitch, and so the first row is the 6 single crochet, the second row is 12 single crochet, so 2 single crochet in each of those 6 stitches. Well, for round 3, and if you need a stitch marker, there's no shame in using a stitch marker. Let me see if I can find one. I know I have one in my Woobles kit, which is another story entirely. There we go. There's some stitch markers. I'm dropping stuff on the floor. Don't mind me. Making a mess. Alright. That's for a different video entirely, which is why it's on my desk. If you need a stitch marker, go ahead and put your very first stitch of the row in there. Okay? And you can mark it. You can mark it with a safety pin, a stitch marker. I don't even close these. I just clip it on. Okay? Clip it on. Whatever kind of stitch marker you have. You could put a piece of thread there. Like weave a scrap piece of yarn in there. So we're going to start the row with 2 single crochet. And in the next stitch we're going to put 1 single crochet. And the next stitch we're going to put 2 single crochet. This is called an increase. In the next stitch you're going to put just 1 single crochet. You're going to do this all the way around. 2 single crochet in the same stitch, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet. And for those of you that are counting, there should be 18 stitches at the end of this row. I don't really count at this point because if you're off 1 or 2 stitches, it's not going to make a big difference. The reason I know that is because that Woobles kit, I was off 5 stitches and it still turned out, okay? Now we're back to that very first stitch, so we're going to pop the stitch marker out. And in this stitch, we're going to put a stitch marker. Put our stitch marker back in that space, so that's the beginning of the row. And put another single crochet in the same stitch. So this is row, what row are we on? 1, 2, 3. We're on the 4th row, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is the beginning of the 4th row. So 2 single crochet in the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So single crochet, next stitch, single crochet. Now we're in the 4th stitch, so we're going to put 2 single crochet in the same stitch. And then we're going to put 1 single crochet and 1 single crochet. And then we're going to put 2 single crochet. It's the same all the way around. So it goes increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, which is 2 together. Okay, 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So that one's an increase, so then we do single crochet, increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, end of the row. All right, that was row, what did I say, 4? I should probably write these down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. We'll remove our stitch marker, put a stitch in that stitch, put our stitch marker back. That's the first stitch of the row. The first stitch of the row should be an increase. So we're going to put another single crochet in that same stitch. And then for the next 3 stitches now, increase in 3 stitches, we're just going to put a single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Single crochet, increase. That would be 2 single crochets. Single crochet in the next 3 stitches, increase, 2 single crochets, same stitch, all the way around. Just keep repeating that. Single crochet in the next 3 stitches, increase, single crochet in the next 3 stitches, increase, single crochet in the next 3 stitches, increase, single crochet in the last 3 stitches before the stitch marker. Alright, now because we're using the skinny yarn, my frog's probably going to end up more like this size than this size, just because the size of the yarn. So if you feel like this is going to be a small frog, it probably is going to be a small frog, and that's okay. Alright, now we don't need the stitch marker anymore. We don't. You can put it away. What we're going to do is we're just going to single crochet in the round for a couple of rows. And by a couple of rows, I mean a couple of rows. Could be 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, does not matter. Just a couple of rows. Just don't go too far because we got to put his arms on. Okay. And we also, before we get too far, because it is way easier to crochet things on when the project is still open. So some amigurumi will have you attach the eyes after the entire body is done and closed off. That's harder for me. I would rather do part of the head and then attach his eyeballs. Okay, I don't want to be just surface sewing. I want to sew all the way through the body. I want to be able to feel the back of the thing. And that's why I try to do, when I do amigurumis, I try to make it as simple as possible because, honestly, I have hand issues too, okay? Amigurumi are hard on my hands. They are. They're hard on a lot of people's hands, specifically when you have to make real tight stitches. Or you got to sew stuff on and it's hard to get in between those stitches. Specifically the surface sewing, oh, it's tedious. So I try to sew everything on before the body is closed off. I'm just going to be real honest with you. And I also don't like sewing a whole bunch of body parts on because that's tedious and it's painful to my hands. So, the airplane outside sounds like a bomb is dropping. It's going woo. You know, like you hear in the movies where it goes. That's what it sounds like. I dropped a bomb on you, baby. I dropped a bomb on you. Now that song goes from the 80s. So like I said, I'm not even counting rows anymore at this point. I'm just crocheting in the round. Crocheting in the round till we get far enough. See, it's going to start curling towards you. And that's okay. You just want to remember, curl it away from you, okay? Alright. We're having all kinds of problems today. My memory card just told me that it was full. And I was 3 seconds into the video and a brand new freshly charged battery was dead. So yeah, we're just continuing. Like I said, we're just going to do a couple rows where we single crochet in the round. And we just want this far enough down the head. So we want to make enough rows so that we can attach the eyes. Okay? Let me attach the eyes. I'll show you with both of these because his eyes are closer together in the middle. Whereas the other guy's eyes are further down the side. I prefer their eyes closer on the top of the head like this. So if you have your eyeballs and you can position them like this, see kind of where you want them and position them. I like them right up along the top of this little circle right here, just like that. So if you need to, you can take, this is very simple. I learned this trick from Kayla at Llama Mama Kayla. If I can find these doodads. You get your needles. Put the eyes where you want them and just like hold them in place with your sewing needles. And make sure they're right where you want them to be. And you just pin them. Now if you don't feel like you're down far enough in the rows, add more rows to this so that you can position your eyes where you want them. Okay, that crochet hook is in the way. Okay. So something else you need to remember when you're attaching the eyes is you want them slightly more forward. You don't want them straight down the middle. So if you fold this straight down the middle, you want them slightly to the front of that line, okay? So line them up. I'm going to try to line them up. See, the center circle is our first row, just right off the side of that. Slightly forward, just slightly forward. Alright. There's eyeball number 1. And then eyeball number 2. Try to line it up. And nothing, isn't that cute? Oh, he's adorable. Make sure your eyes are facing the correct direction, okay? Kind of tilt them towards the center. Otherwise, they're going to be like my other guy, like him. Learn from my mistakes. Line your eyeballs up and have them centered more facing towards the same. Well, this one's kind of tilted too. He's a little cockeyed, but that's all right. Have them tilted more towards their, like, pretend that's a nose. Have it facing more towards that. So even if while you're crocheting this, sewing this piece on, if it shifts slightly that way, it won't be as bad as my little cockeyed guys over there. All right, I need another one of these. Now I'm going to sew this on. You can pin them both on if you want to, if that makes your life easier. This is the tail we cut earlier from the eye. These needles are kind of holding it in place. Kinda. It's not doing a great job, but at least it's holding it kinda. Now, yeah, cut that off. That's a little extra string that came out. There we go. Alright, now, to sew this on, go in that same stitch where this slip stitched from, okay? And go all the way through inside the head. And I know this is not the way, pretend you didn't see that. This is not the way they teach you, but this is the way Jen does it because this is easier on my hands. Okay? I'm just going to do like kind of a running stitch. So go into the next stitch and pull up. Try not to grab your working yarn because I did that. You see how I did that? I did that. I certainly did. This is why we leave the mistakes in, because I am not a perfect person. See, and I barely grabbed it. Keep your working yarn out of the way. It's never a dull moment in Cinnamon Stitches land, okay? And I'm just going to, each single crochet, I'm going to go into the next stitch, and I'm going to attach it to the head. Go into the next stitch. Try to avoid the eyeball. Now I'm grabbing that and that one. Go to the next stitch. That's all I'm doing to attach this eye. Just going in and out and just sewing it on. Make sure you're far enough away from the edge so that these stitches stay accessible when you're crocheting. Probably should have made my tail a little longer, but it's fine. Because, oops, that's the wrong one. Because my eyes are so big, I didn't actually need to stuff the eyes with filling. But if you want, you can try to put a little filling in there, the polyfill, to make the eyes softer, but these are getting in the way now. I did not do that because my eyes are so big, like it makes that stand up on its own. You don't need to do that. Alright, so just whatever I did here, repeat on the other eye. Pull it back and make sure there's no places where that can come apart. Make sure you get all the stitches. If you have a long enough tail, go over a couple of times if you want, but that's on there. That's on there. Yep, that's on there. Alright, now I just grab a stitch off the back. Make sure that stays in there. Pull it partially through that stitch and then knot it off. You can weave this end in if you're afraid that that's going to come loose. But that's how we attach the eyes. I'm going to do exactly the same on this side. This yarn is not the best yarn for amigurumis, but I figured it's, wow, way better for you guys to see. Y'all, I'm having a rough day today. Use a little bit of that spit. There we go. Try that again. Spit works every time. Alright. Now, make sure our eye is lined up. Make sure it's even and kind of facing towards the other eye. Put your little stick things in. So it doesn't wobble or spin on you. Make sure your working yarn is out of the way. Good enough. I mean, it's a frog. They're not supposed to be pretty, right? And once again, we're going to go through that very first stitch all the way through into the head. And there's other ways you can sew these on. I mean, the proper way to do it is not what I'm doing. The proper way is to grab a stitch this way and then come back up through like this. That is really, really painful on my hands, and I'm not doing it. So if you want to look up other ways you can attach stuff by sewing on amigurumi parts, you may absolutely, or if you know of another way, you can alter this. I'm not going to be mad at you. The sticks are getting in the way. This is the most tedious part of amigurumi, is sewing on body parts. And look at, I already tilted it over too far. It was starting to go in towards that middle. There we go, I think I fixed it. Take these out. Is it halfway on? Make sure you're getting all of the stitches on. It will make it more secure. And be wary if you're giving this to a little kid that likes to bite or chew on stuff. These eyeballs could come off and become a choking hazard. So if you're going to do the eyes this way, make sure that you are doing this for a old enough kid that doesn't suck on things, chew on things, bite on things. And that, or an adult. Oh yeah, see, I'm going to go back over these ones right here. Nope. Go back in. Tie it off like we did last time. Alright, that's all the sewing we gotta do for this whole thing. Not too bad, right? His eyes are still kind of crooked, but it's not too bad. I mean, frogs have weird eyes anyway, right? There we go. Super cute. And then these twist. They're not in too tight. Froggy, 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 froggy. Alright. Now we can continue on. This is the really difficult part. No, it's not. We're just single crocheting in the round still. That's all we're doing. And we need to do this for... How many rows did I write down? I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so about four rows down from the eyeballs, the bottom of the eyeball, so that's 1 row, 2 rows. We're gonna attach the arms, and honestly, if you do 5 rows, 6 rows, it's not gonna matter. It's all matter where you want his arms to be. Okay, we're just gonna single crochet in the round until 4 or 5 rows down from the bottom of the eyeball here. And then we're going to put his arms down. Now the arms and the legs, the way to measure where his arms and legs go are dependent on where his eyeballs are, because that's how I measured it. Okay, I measured straight down from the eyeballs is where I put his arms, and straight down from his arms I put his legs. Super easy, not difficult at all. And they are all a part of the head. They're all a part of the body. It's all one piece. There's no more sewing on any parts. There's no more separate parts. The rest of the frog is all one solitary piece, which makes this super, super, super easy. Beginner friendly. Anyone can do it. And you saw, even myself, who designed this frog, and I've made I've made 4 frogs now. This is my 5th frog. Even I struggled with putting them eyeballs on, because it's a small space, and it's hard on my hands, and even my hands are hurting right now doing this. I'm just going to go down, go down, go down. Ribbit, ribbit. Alright, so the name of this frog is going to be Robbie the Ribbiter. And that came completely by accident from one of the people in the Cinnamon Buns. Well, no, not the Cinnamon Stitches Facebook group. So she tried to respond Ribbit, and her phone auto-corrected it to say Robbie. And instantaneously, when she said, "Oh no, autocorrect, I was meant to say Ribbit," and it said Robbie, my brain immediately went Robbie the Ribbiter, because it's a play on words like Rosie the Riveter, but it's Robbie the Ribbiter, because he's a frog and he ribbits, and my brain thinks that's the funniest thing in the whole world. So it was a happy little accident. So he's Robbie the Ribbiter. Alright, so we got bottom of his eyes, 1, 2, 3. This will be the 4th row. So we'll go all the way around one more time till we get back to where this eye is. So we want, you see, if you see the line, 1, 2, 3. You see? 1, 2, 3. We want 4 rows, or let's do 5. We'll do 5. We'll do 2 more rows. We'll do 5 rows down from his eyes, because we're working with this real skinny yarn, and it just makes the frog smaller in general. We're going to go down. Down, down, in an early round, and sugarwood going down swinging. I'll be number 1 with a bullet. Loaded, got compliments, cocky and bullet. Right, so this should be row 4 somewhere. Approaching row 5. And do 1 more row all the way around. We're just single crocheting, so I'm speeding it up. I'm just crocheting at my normal rate. And if you're not as far as me, that's okay. You can pause. You can pause. Alright. I'm going to do 1 more row around till I reach this area where his eye is. Around here. Oops. Dropped a stitch. Hair workers outside. Somebody's running a saw blade. After I show you the arms, I'm going to pause and we'll crochet down to the feet. But I'm going to pause the video so we're not just sitting here watching me single crochet in the round for an hour and a half. Although I don't think this would take you an hour and a half, especially with the fatter yarn. I did a brand new pattern last night and it only took me 2 hours for the whole thing start to finish. And that was me watching videos to figure out how to make it because it was a kit. And I should have. I think we've been doing this an hour already, at least I have. I'm going to say 2 hours to make him. Unless you're super fast. It shouldn't take you more than an hour, but... Alright, so we're back to kind of where his eyes are. Alright, we're about, I don't know, a thumb length for this yarn. So if you're working with worsted weight, you could measure it by like your thumb. Or, it's about, what? It's 5 rows, okay? For the bigger one, it's still about a thumb from his eye to his arm, okay? For this one, is a lot more. There's like 10 rows there. So you can measure his arms however you want. You do 5 rows, you do 10 rows. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. It's all a matter of how you want your frog to look. See, they're still best friends. They still love each other, but their arms are just, his arms are higher. Okay? And they very, very much have like the springy, froggy legs. All right? All right. When we get to this point, you're going to determine, do you want his arms closer to the middle? Because then you're going to measure where the center of his pupil is down. Okay? If you want his arms more off to the side, you're going to measure off the side of his eyes and come down. Wherever you put his arms, you want his feet below it. Okay? So if you like wider set arms, measure from the outside of his eyes. If you want closer together arms, go from the center of his pupils down. Okay? This is not rocket science at all. So I'm going to measure kind of off center. I want his eyes a little further apart. So see, his center of his pupil would be here, but off here. I'm going to go about right there, that stitch. Okay? I have 2 more stitches to go. Single crochet, single crochet. All right, now here's where we're going to build the arm. I got the arm where I wanted it. So I put a single crochet there. I'm going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go back a stitch and put a slip stitch. Chain 2. 1, 2. That very first chain out of there, slip stitch. These are called picots. Chain 2. 1, 2. Go back to that first chain out of there and slip stitch. These are his little toes. He's got 3 toes. So there's 1, 2, 3. See that? Right below that first toe is a stitch. Put a slip stitch there. You have made a little froggy hand. Okay? Now, we're going to single crochet in each stitch going up his arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have 6, if you have 4, don't freak out. It does not matter, okay? And then right where the first single crochet is that we did, I'm going to slip stitch the arm into there. That's what his arm should look like, okay? It's going to curl up on itself. It's just the nature of these stitches. And it's going to be fine. And then go back to where we were single crocheting and keep on single crocheting around the row until you get about that area where his eye is. Okay, so remember, if you want his arms closer together, go for the pupil. We went to the outside of his eye, so kind of measure that over here. It might be 10 stitches, it might be 8 stitches, it could be 12, it could be anywhere in between those. I don't like counting and being hard and fast with counting because we can change it up, we can make it our own. If you need to, fold that sucker in half flat. And from the edge, he's the second stitch in. And over here, he could be the second stitch in too for his second arm. Okay? We don't aim for perfection on this channel. We aim for cuteness and fun. Okay? So we're about the second stitch from the edge. So I'm going to put the single crochet. And same thing, chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go down, put a slip stitch in the next thing down below, chain 2. This is a picot. The very first chain we pulled out, put a slip stitch, chain 2, the very first one, put a slip stitch, so there's 1 toe, 2 toe, 3 toe, right at the bottom of the 2 toe, or the 3 toe, slip stitch, itch my face, and then put single crochets back up the foot, up the leg, the front hand, whatever you want to call it, 2, 3, 4, 5, slip stitch into the side of that single crochet we made at the bottom of the row, and then continue single crocheting around. Open his body back up. Now, once again, we're just going to continue single crocheting. There's no increases or decreases at this point. The thing that might slip you up is we have to figure out how to get around this arm when we crochet around this other side. I'm going to show you how to do that. Single crocheting around and around and around and around and around and around and around. Single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. All right, now we're approaching that arm. All right, that's the single crochet. There's a single crochet right here where the arm attaches to. Now take his arm and fold it up, okay? And go in wherever you can fit into his arm and put a single crochet. It doesn't matter where, you're not going to see it. It's under his armpit. And then the very next stitch where his armpit is done, put a single crochet in there. If I can fit it, because his arm's getting in the way. There we go. Alright. It's that simple. See, and now there's stitches under his arm that we can work into for the next row. And I'll show you how to do it again for the next arm. I'll single crochet over to his next arm. And once again, we're going to single crochet the stitch his arm is coming out of right here. Flip his arm up and pin it there, like hold it there. And then somewhere in his armpit, just grab a stitch and then create a single crochet in his armpit. And then the next stitch over, put a single crochet. Now just continue single crocheting in the round. His arm should not be in the way at this point, because now we have stitches underneath his arm. See, so his arm should not be in the way. Continue single crocheting in the round. I don't know, for another, let's see, 6, 7 rows till we create his legs. And you can eyeball this. If you want him to be a longer bodied frog, do more rows. If you want him to be short and squatty, do less rows between his legs and his arms. Okay, those are his little arms. Doo-doo-doo. See, now arms, and then we have I'm measuring from his eyeball to his arm is my entire thumb. From his arm to his leg is my entire thumb. This guy's different. So from his eye to his arm here is just the top part of my thumb. And from his arm to his leg here is just about the same length of my thumb. Okay, see that? Is about the same length. So if you want it to be super symmetrical, you can use your thumb for measurement, or a tape measure if you don't want to use your thumb. Or if you don't have a thumb. I mean, some people don't have thumbs, and that's okay. Just use something to measure that. You can use your crochet hook and be like, oh, it goes to about that pink line there. And then, oh, it goes to about his pink line there. So it's symmetrical. But this one's short and squatty. This one's a little tall and slender. And also, this one doesn't have legs. This one just has feet. Okay. So, I'm going to... how many rows do we do here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we did 6 rows before his arms. So I'm going to do another 6 or 7 rows before we start his feet, but you guys don't have to watch me do that. We're just crocheting single crochets in the round until we feel like his body is long enough to add the legs and or the feet. And I'm going to give you both options. Just the toes or the stringy feet. So I like both. I think they're both adorable. Alright, so I measured and my thumb is about the same, either top and the bottom. It's about 6 rows between eye and arm, and now will be the 6th row between his arm and where we're going to put his feet. So I just wanted to come back on and continue on around this row. Now I'm going to show you both options. I'm going to show you little flower feet and I'm going to show you legs. Okay, so you're going to have both options in case you want to do that. And once again, we're measuring by his eyes. So if we kind of want his feet below where his arms are, if you want his feet to be more widespread than his arms, so these are slightly more widespread, you could do that too. That's your option. So I'm just going to crochet, single crochet. Like I said, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is actually the 7th row past his arms. I'm going to crochet to about where we started his arms. Okay. I'm going to put my single crochet in just like we did. Now I'm going to show you the foot. And then I'm going to frog the foot back and I'm going to show you how to do the leg. Okay. So if you just want these cute little petal feet, this is how you do it. You chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then in the 2 chains before, we're going to slip stitch into each one of those. So that's 2 slip stitches, right? That's a toe. Chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And then in the 2 chains prior, slip stitch. This is just a different version of the picot we did for his feet, or for his hands. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. 2 slip stitches. Now of course, if you want him to have a 4th toe, you can give him a 4th toe, but I like the little 3 toes. And then we come all the way back to that first single crochet and slip stitch it closed. Continue on with the single crochets till you get where his other foot is, and then you have this cute little, you can call it a petal foot, and he looks like he's giving us the finger. Okay, cute little petal foot. Now the petal foot looks a lot cuter in this chenille style yarn than it does with the acrylic, but it's still a foot. And then what you're going to do is you're going to single crochet over here till you get to this arm, and you're going to make another petal foot. Now I don't want a petal foot. We're going to frog it all the way back to just the single crochet we made, and we are going to, let me look at my notes, make sure, because I wrote this down. Alright, so for his feet, we are going to chain 10. Chain 10. Whereas his arms were a chain 8, we're going to chain 10 for his feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to go in the 2 previous and slip stitch in those 2 previous chains. Okay. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, because this is his first toe. And then in the 2 previous chains, we're going to slip stitch again. 1, 2. This is toe number 2. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch in the 2 previous chains. This just makes his feet and his legs just a little bit bigger than his arms. Okay. And then once again, we have the 3 toes. We're going to go back to the stitch right before we started the toe and slip stitch to close the foot. And then to make his legs bigger, we are going to half double crochet, not single crochet, half double. Okay, in every stitch up his leg. This is 2. This is 3. 4. 5. 6 half double crochets. Once again, we are going to slip stitch into the side of that single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet across until it's time to make his second leg. This is what his foot and his leg should look like. Kind of looks like a chicken leg. But you'll see it'll want to curl up on itself. But that's normal because that's what frogs do. Their legs, like sometimes their legs will hang straight out and sometimes their legs will curl up. We're gonna single crochet across till we get just underneath where his other arm is. If you need to fold it flat so you can see his leg is 1 stitch in from this side. His arm is 1 stitch in from this side. His arm is 1 stitch in from this side. And you can mark it if you need to. Or you can just eyeball it like I do because I don't really care if it's perfect. But that's just how Cinnamon Stitches rolls. I just don't care if I'm perfect. Alright. Go over. Actually, I'm going to start the foot 2 stitches in because we're working from the outside in instead of the inside out. Once again, chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slip stitch 2 back. 1, 2. That's toe number 1. Chain 3, 2, 3. Slip stitch 2 back. 2. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch 2 back. Slip stitch to the stitch right before the toe. Remember, we're half double crocheting, not single crocheting here. His legs need to be a little fatter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I feel like you guys are too far away from me. Let me just adjust. Slip stitch into that first single crochet and then single crochet around. Now this is where we're going to need to get our fluff or stuffing. And this is where we're going to start decreasing. Okay. Banging his eyes on the table. Just single crochet until you get around to that next leg. We're going to use his leg as a reference. We're going to say that that's the first stitch in the row, even though it's not. And I have to go in the other room and grab my stuff because my stuffing is in the living room because that's where I've been doing a lot of my crochet. Alright. Be right back. Fluff has been acquired and I grabbed way more than I need for this little tiny frog. Alright, now ball up your fluff and stick it in his body. Push it down as far to the head as you can get it. Like shove it in there. Shove it. I like to use the 2-finger method. You just jam it in there as far as it'll go up by his head. Okay? Now, his body's only half full. And I'm going to leave it like that for a minute. Because I don't like working around a bunch of fluff. Oh, dang it. You see what I did? I pushed the yarn in. We're going to do a couple rows of decrease and then we'll add more stuffing, okay? So with his leg, what we're going to do is decrease around his leg. So we're going to go on the stitch around his leg, push his leg up like we did with the leg or the arm. Pull up a loop and then go into the stitch where his leg is, just like we did to the arm. Find a stitch and grab it. Pull up another loop. Go into the stitch on the other side of his leg. And this is going to be a 3-stitch decrease. Boom. Okay. Then we're going to go to the next 3 single crochets and just single crochet. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then we're going to decrease the next 2 stitches. So pull up a loop in the next 2 stitches and get all 3 of those loops off of your stitch. And then we're going to single crochet the next 3 stitches. Now we're going to do the same thing to his leg, okay? Go in the stitch next to his leg. Ooh, make sure your loops are tight. Pull up a loop. Create a loop inside his leg. Boop. And then go to the stitch directly next to his leg. You should have 4 loops. Pull through all of those. And then single crochet the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And then do another decrease. So 2 single crochets together. Pull up a loop for the next 2 stitches. Pull off all 3. And then single crochet 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Go in the next 2 stitches and do 2 single crochet together. And then 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then 2 single crochets together. And then, because we're back at the leg, we know we're approaching the beginning of the row. So put 3 stitches. Okay. That'll be the last stitch of the last row. Now we're starting a new row. So we're going to do 2 single crochet together. And then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. We're going to do this all the way around this row. And then 2 single crochets together. And then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then 2 single crochet together. Crochet in the next 2 stitches. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 2 together. So the decrease. 2 single crochet, or a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Decrease 2 stitches together. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 2 single crochets together. Alright, now we're kind of back at the leg, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that loop up a little bit. And I'm going to finish stuffing his body. Okay, just do a little bit at a time. If you, I kind of like my amigurumis on the firm side, so I stuff the heck out of them. You just don't want to stuff them so much that the stitches open up and you can see the white inside, okay? But I like them to be kind of squishy because stuffing does break down over time. And if you've ever had a pillow for a really long time, you know this. I just keep stuffing and stuffing and stuffing it down as far as I can get it in there. See? And also, it makes them a little bit fatter too. There's nothing like a fat, healthy frog. Keep stuffing it in, stuffing it in. Stuff that frog butt as much as you can. That's what he's looking like, nice and stuffed. Nice and healthy. Now, I probably should have showed you how to do the mouth at this point, but we can do the mouth as an after effect. That's not a big deal. Sorry. Alright, now, I feel like he is thoroughly stuffed. He's still got a little bit of give in there, but now because we're at the leg, we can just do 1 single crochet and then 2 together all the way around. So single crochet and then a decrease. Single crochet and then a decrease. Single crochet, decrease, all the way around till you reach that other leg. This yarn's a little splitty. See how the stuffing is trying, I don't know if you can see it on camera, the stuffing's trying to come out the hole. And you gotta stick your finger in their butt and tell them like, hey, knock it off, go back in there. I know that sounded so bad. It's a frog butt, okay? Alright. Another final decrease of that row. And honestly, I think we're going to leave a little bit of a gap here. Because if you put too much stuffing at this point right here, his butt's going to pucker out like this because there's too much stuffing. So if there's a little bit of a gap in there, he will lay flatter here. So he'll have a flatter butt to sit on. So just leave a little bit of a gap in there with the stuffing. All right, now this is the last row of the froggy. Okay, Robbie the Ribbiter. We're just going to, every time we're going to do a decrease. So two single crochet all the way around. 2 single crochet together all the way around. Decrease, decrease, decrease. You should get this down to about 6 stitches, give or take. If you're off a stitch or two, does not matter. Nobody's going to count his butt stitches. I'm filming. I will get that in a bit. Thank you. Okay, do I need the mail right this second? I do not. All right. Back around to that leg. We'll do our last 2 together. Okay, and there's still going to be a little bit of a hole. You still got a little bit of a booty hole, but that's okay. Where are my scissors at? Anybody see where I put my scissors? Where are my scissors? I have to get another pair because I lost them. Oh, they're under the frog. Alright, cut a tail, I don't know, 6 or 8 inches. Pull that through that stitch, okay? Grab your handy dandy, I forgot what this is called. It's a needle. Wow, brain. Alright. So see how his little butt is like puckering? What we're going to do is we're going to, wherever we pulled out here, we're going to go to the stitch across, grab just the top loop only, and pull it closed. And go across to the next stitch, and across to the stitch across from it. We just need to close his little butt up a little bit. We don't want it puckering. Just see, and that's all it took was 2 stitches. Now, what I like to do here is I like to weave in my end. Some people will tell you just tuck it in. No, I don't want to tuck it in. I don't want my stitches to come out. I don't want his butthole to open up. That would be gross. Okay, so just grab some stitches. Weave in your yarn back and forth. Boop. Right. Push his butt flat. See, it should be flat. Look how flat that his booty is. And then I'm just going to take and put this into his body. Boop. Put it all the way through to his head. Pull it through. Cut that. Boop. Alright, the frog is done, except for his mouth. Now you need to determine, do you want him to have a black mouth or red mouth? I kind of like the way the black looks a little better. And once again, the black is in the other room. So, let's see what I have close by. Purple mouth will do. Because I'm going to grab about, I don't know, 8 or 12 inches of the purple. Because this guy's going to be a little extra. You put your glasses back on because you can't see. Alright. I'm just going to feed one end into my needle. And the other end is going to stay live. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to come in from his backside. And the way you want to position his mouth is in the center of his 2 eyes, kind of. Okay? And you need to determine how big you want his mouth to look. Now, my daughter thinks this looks like a mustache, but she's watched Meet the Robinsons too many times with the singing frogs. Okay? Some of my frogs don't have a mouth. And that's okay too. You don't want to put a mouth, they don't have to have a mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in anywhere in the back of his head. Okay? And I kind of want to, wherever his pupils are pointing, somewhere along here. Okay? You can play with it. And if, at worst case scenario, take his mouth right out. Just take it apart. That's why we leave it live in the back there. Okay? So that if we mess up, we can fix it. So see how it's kind of coming out where his eye is pointing? So we are just at the row where his eye is coming out right here. Just, so if you take his eye straight out from here and straight down from here, that's where it's coming out at. Okay? where that intersects. Okay. Oops. Leave about 3 or 4 inches hanging out his backside. Okay. Pull it out. And then we're going to drop down 1, 2 rows and go over 2 stitches and poke a hole in. And then we're going to go back up 2 rows and over 2 stitches. I'm not measuring. None of their mouths are even. Okay. You're going to pull up like that. Oh, you gotta love hearing the neighbor kids screaming. We're gonna go back in this hole here and back up out through this hole that we created up here. See how we did that? Oop. Then we're gonna go, oh, he looks surprised. Then we're gonna go back in this hole because I like a double mouth. Back up through the top there. So there's going to be 2 strands of yarn on each side of that, right? Oops. Boop. Just makes his mouth a little thicker. And you can do this with acrylic yarn, you can do it with cotton yarn, you can do it with whatever. Now, because we have 2 strands on this side, we're going to have a second one when we go in this hole. We're just going to take this one and go back out the hole where this guy is right here on his back. Make sure it's come out the same hole. His mouth is really that simple, and he's happy, okay? And we're going to take this, and I'm going to do what I call a double knot. So you're going to wrap this, oops. So you know how you tie your shoe and you just go boop and you pull it? Don't do that. We're going to wrap it twice. Once, twice. It locks the stitch a little better, okay? And then add 1 more on top of that. Just a regular old tie. Okay, cut this on the short side, maybe 1 inch. Boop. Now, grab your crochet hook from a different hole and reach up there, grab it and pull it into the body. Okay. Push it in there. Oh, push that. We don't want that sticking out. It's sticking out. It's fine. If you have fluff that you accidentally pulled out, just cut it. Boop. There we go. Rough it up. And you can go around and just give him a trim. Because some of that fluff is bound to be stuck to the outside of his body. I've also seen people run a lighter over it, but this is acrylic. It will melt. Polyester yarn will melt. Don't do that. Unless you want like little char marks. Alright, so there's his little legs. His little chicken legs. Bark, bark, bark. There's our cute little froggy guy. What do you think? That was fun. And his legs will curl up on himself. And that's okay because, I mean, he's a frog. He's supposed to have curly legs, right? That's our little frog. And they do look different when you use the fluffy yarns. And I think they're cute either way. And they sit flat. They sit real flat. Real flat. You don't have to have nothing to hold them up to get them to sit flat because their butts are flat. Boop, 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 boop. There's nothing special in there. They're not weighted. You don't have to do anything extra. They just sit flat. And with that, there's our cute little froggy patterns. I hope you have enjoyed making Robbie the Ribbiter with me. Different alterations. We can make them different ways. We can use different yarns. We can do different feet, I mean, you can also do his hands the way we did the little pedal feet if you wanted. There's lots of ways you can alter this to make him your own little frog. If you make this, I would really like to see pictures because that makes me really super happy. You can send pictures to my email. You can send pictures on the Facebook group. You can post in the community tab here on Facebook, but I don't know how to access that to reply to you guys. So sometimes I can see it and sometimes I can't. So I actually prefer you don't post in there. You can also post your stuff on Instagram. If you post your Instagram stories, I can share it on my page. If you post it just as a post, I can't, but I still get to see it, and that makes me happy too. So, go make some Robbie the Ribbiters. Let me see the pictures. And, they also, I'm going to be real honest, they kind of could be aliens if you gave them little antennas. Aliens! So, thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.